Everyone, welcome back to another episode of the True Safety Podcast. If you are new here, my name is Seth Silvers. I sometimes jump in as a co-host. I'm here with Apolonia Rockwell, our primary host. Apolonia, tell me something you are excited about heading into this next week.
Oh my gosh! This next week is New Year's! Holy smokes! And I guess nothing really changes.
Yeah.
I don't have anything major that it's like, I'm going to start this new health kick or this new diet. Like everything's the same.
Which is good, because I think that means that you have healthy rhythms. Like,
yes.
If, sure, there might be little adjustments each year, but ideally we should be living in healthy rhythms so that we don't have to make a ton of changes, because we know that the way we're living is doing well. So I think I love that you're not making any huge changes, because you're already living the life you love. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of outsourcing safety. This is a question, you get these questions all the time of people wondering, should we do safety in-house? Should we fully outsource it? Should we hybrid and partially outsource it? So we're just going to talk about that and talk about who it's for, who it's not, recognize that not everybody should outsource safety.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So to kind of start this conversation, Apolonia, tell me what are some of the main benefits of a company outsourcing their safety program or elements of their safety program?
Yes. So the first things that come to mind, we were talking about it in our previous podcast, is 2021 has officially been labeled what did you call it? The Great Resignation. Yeah. The Great Resignation. And so I was sharing with the audience in the last podcast that, my CFO and I were just chatting this morning, and she was like, Apolonia, I couldn't imagine running a business and investing into a safety manager and almost 10 grand, thousands of dollars into train the trainer certifications, beefing up this person's resume. She was like, I would personally be heartbroken if this person left my company after I just invested in all these trainings for them. She's like, Apolonia, what? It's wild to me. And I said, yeah, that is one huge pro to outsourcing safety, is that right now we are in a tough labor market. We're in a tough position right now to retain talent. I used to say retain top talent, but shoot, it is hard to retain talent, period. Mm-hmm. And then to not just retain them, but to learn and grow, to evolve that team member, and then just to think that they might leave, that's really tough. So that's the obvious. I'll start with the obvious, is that we're a staple in our client safety program. Right. So when they're struggling hiring laborers and drivers and technicians and project managers, the last thing that they have to worry about is the consistency of their safety program.
Right. And so that's kind of, as opposed to putting kind of all of your hopes in, your in-house safety person and, investing in getting them trained in different things. They initially know that, even if their consultant over a year, even if their contact with True Safety changed, they would know, okay, True Safety is going to handle the training. They're going to make sure that this person is up to date, has everything, and there's the consistency of the people that they're getting, which is huge. So yeah, I think that's a really good point to start with. What are some other, benefits of outsourcing safety?
Yeah. And some others that aren't so obvious you kind of touched on it there, is yes, there's a consistency in our client's safety program, but just keeping the same safety program year after year, that's not enough. Companies want to evolve their safety program. So not only do we keep it consistent, but we keep it evolving. So since we are the same company, let's, take a client that's been with us for 4 years. Their safety program just hasn't stayed the same. We know their program in and out, and we've been able to take it up to the next level year after year. And that comes from, yes, consistency, but it's from knowing the client so well. And right now, companies really can't say that they've kept the same, a lot of companies can't say that they've kept the same person, for the last 4 years. So that's been one thing. Another thing that comes to mind is that we're evolving in terms of technology and innovation and adopting. As a client grows, we've been able to grow with them. So that's one thing, is that our bandwidth has been able to sustain a company that's growing themselves. So we've worked with companies that have gone from 20 employees to now 80 employees. Well, we've been able to upkeep that growth for that client. So we've been able to service their Colorado division, but now their New Mexico division and their Texas division. And as COVID hit and they needed to reach those employees out of state, and they needed to dive into virtual training ASAP, we were able to grow and evolve in that sense too. So technology is something that we're not afraid of. We're not afraid of, virtual. That's something that we're excited about. So we were able to grow as our clients grow too.
Mm-hmm. And again, you as the consultant would do the work of research and figuring out what technology solutions were right for the client, as opposed to the client having to do all of that.
Absolutely. Yes. We were just able to say, oh, boom, COVID hit. We can't have everyone together. No worries. Like as that client was worried about everything else business-wise, we were able to say, no worries. Not only does your safety program remain consistent, but we're going to move you're going to move your safety meetings virtual just like that. Mm-hmm. We're able to train your Texas employees just like that. And so we were able to adapt quickly.
Yeah.
So
does outsourcing safety or hiring a safety consulting company, would that mean that your company would have no in-house safety people?
No. I mean, that's a good question. So clients don't have to choose between, are we going to have somebody in-house or are we going to use true safety? So we've been able to really thrive in both environments. We've been able to have clients that have an in-house safety person, and then they outsource to us, maybe their training program, the training piece to it, or they've been able to outsource their site safety inspections, or at least assist their in-house safety person in the safety assessments, because they're only one person. They can only visit so many locations. We're able to expand their bandwidth as far as how many job sites can they visit a month. We're able to assist in that way too. So it's not an all or nothing with us. We're definitely able to, see what's high priority to that client.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So on the other side of this, like there are some cons, like safety consulting and hiring a consulting company or outsourcing safety. It's not for everybody. So what would you say are some of the cons for outsourcing safety that some companies might run into?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, a client that wouldn't be successful with us, I'm very vocal now about like who is our dream client and who isn't. And so I'm just going to talk just from experience. So from experience, clients that it has not worked out with to outsource safety is maybe a company that is really, how do I say this? There's really on the path of check the box safety, or they're just maybe in the entry levels of their safety program. So they aren't ready to really embrace safety yet. So what I mean by that is that if an owner isn't fully embracing safety, and no owner's perfect, but if an owner really isn't all about safety, they're not ready to make those changes, outsourcing safety isn't going to work, whether it's with True Safety or ABC safety consulting company, because this safety consulting company is going to come into your organization like once a month or a few times a month. And we are going to contradict everything that the owner believes in. So the poor employee is really, like just being tugged in two different directions. Like, well, my owner doesn't care about safety, but the safety consulting company is telling me that I'm doing everything wrong. So I don't know what game to play here. Like the consultant says one thing and the owner says another. And then, this creates an environment that the employee is going to be really frustrated and confused. And the owner is sure going to be, unhappy at the end of the day too, because they're not going to see progress in their safety program, because they're going to get frustrated. Oh, the consultant is giving me mountains of action items, and this is becoming overwhelming because I don't want to listen to these action items. Right. So that's one client that wouldn't be successful.
Yeah. And we're saying this example of like outsource, hiring true safety, but really it's bigger than that, of just thinking through like, if you're thinking about hiring safety consultants, whether it's, with True Safety or any other company, you're probably going to run into some of these same barriers. I remember like maybe a year ago, we started talking, kind of using the phrase at True Safety of like outsource what you can so that you as a safety professional can be doing what only you can do. So like kind of outsource what anybody could do so that you can be doing only what your people could be doing. What are some of the things that you think, like when we think of like this should be outsourced and this should not be outsourced? Like in the ideal scenario for a company, maybe they're still able to have some safety presence in-house, but then also be utilizing you. Like what should be outsourced and what should stay in-house in your opinion?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I think that anything culture related, needs to stay in-house. Yes, True Safety is going to help enhance your safety culture. I'm sure there's a lot of safety consulting companies that can enhance your safety culture. But the base of that, the foundation of the culture, has to be within. So, when it comes to the safety program, that in-house safety program, the in-house safety director, I think that they need to be the lifeblood of, let's say, a new hire orientation. So like, here's a good example. As employees are onboarded, there's pieces of that can be outsourced, and there's some pieces that should stay insourced. And so I think that a safety director should at least be able to set the tone of what that company is going to tolerate, what they're not going to tolerate. Here's what our safety culture is about. Here's what we believe in. Here are the big goals for the safety company. Because again, I don't really believe in a safety culture. I just believe in a company culture, so that in-house safety director can share the vision of where the company's going, get them, excited about what the company is about. And then the piece that can be outsourced is, let's say, the new hire orientation training, so that safety director doesn't need to do the same new hire orientation video with the every single new hire. That piece can be outsourced because it's repetitive. We're going over the OSHA compliant topics for the year. That can be outsourced, in my opinion. So those are some things, like anything company and culture related needs to start within, so that way we can just do nothing but enhance what's already there.
Yeah. And I think, getting back to who does stuff like this work well for and who does it not, I think that's been a really instrumental piece with your clients that have done a really good job, has been, there's been kind of what I would call like a culture keeper in the company. Like there's somebody driving the culture. There's leadership in the company, and it's going to be really hard when you try to outsource that. And you still help. True Safety, you still help companies with their culture. You still help them to develop that leadership side of things. It's a unique thing, but realizing like that, some of that drive, like the people skills, the person to person touch, like that, you can't outsource the person to person touch.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I don't think that there's one specific task, that can or can't be outsourced. We do it all. I know that there's a lot of safety companies out there that, offer help with your site inspections or your training. And so I don't think that there's a specific service that can't be outsourced. But going back to, I think that the expectations, the company vision, the company culture all needs to come from somebody within. Maybe that's a safety director or just the leadership team. Like those pieces need to be foundational and they need to come from the top for sure.
Absolutely. I think that's well said. And, like we've said throughout this episode, there's outsourcing safety. It's just not for everybody. There's going to be some companies where it makes perfect sense for, and there's going to be some where it makes more sense to keep things in house, and that's okay. We just encourage people to be willing to have some conversations to see what the right solution for you is. Any parting words of encouragement as we bring this conversation to a close?
Let's see, parting words. I would just say, if you're a safety director or you're somebody within the safety department of your company, maybe just take a look at what are some goals, what are some things that only you can do next year, and where would you like to improve on for you? Like, where do you want to go to the next level, and what are some things that can be outsourced? What are some things that, hey, it's not the best, I'm a CSP, or I'm really experienced safety professional, it's maybe not the best use of my time to go over the same new hire orientation with all employees, especially with the job market the way it is. You don't know if you're training somebody today who's just to be gone, the next week. And so, just even think about letting go of the reins on some of the things that could really help take you to the next level. That way your skills and expertise are utilized in the best way for the company that you're at.
Yeah. So. I think that's well said. And again, if this is your first time listening, we encourage you to go back into some of our library of episodes, because a lot of the questions that people have about some of these topics, there are things that we're having guest speakers come in on, and like these are topics that we want to help you get the answers to as a safety professional. So, Apolonia, this has been wonderful, and to all of our listeners, we'll see you next time on the True Safety Podcast.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Talk to you soon. Bye.